Wow, I wasn't expecting this. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Des Roulette and I am going to be doing something a little bit different today. So I mentioned in my first video, in my intro video, for those of you who didn't see it, that I am a plus size woman who is a formerly skinny girl who was also formerly plus size. So I spent most of my life being overweight. When I was 21, I was almost 250 pounds, and I decided that it was time to try and lose weight for the first time in my life. Obviously, I had tried when I was a teenager a little bit here or there, but I didn't take it seriously, so I never really did. And when I finally discovered like Chinese food and all of the amazing things that the world had to offer, I think I went a little bit overboard because I didn't really grow up with stuff like that. I didn't grow up with like access to McDonald's and fried chicken and things like that. My mom was pretty health conscious. I don't want to say she was health conscious actually. She was pretty calorie conscious when I was growing up. So most of what we had in my house was like skim milk, wheat bread, cantaloupe, and peanut butter. So, you know, she would cook like rice and beans, and maybe like once a month she would make pizza, things like that. But I basically hadn't really had a lot of junk food until I was like old enough to kind of find it myself or be introduced to it through friends and things like that. So my theory is that when I finally discovered these things, that I went a little crazy. I suspect some other reasons why I had a problem with my weight. I wouldn't say that it's genetic. I'm definitely the heaviest person in my whole family. My immediate family are all very, very, very thin. And most everybody else that I really know in my family, like aunts and cousins and things like that, are also thin. So I wouldn't say that it's genetic. I highly doubt that it was a genetic issue, but I speculate that there are some things, some traumas from my childhood and things like that, that caused me to gain weight. But that's neither here nor there. So I had always been big, finally decided that I wanted to lose the weight. So when I was 21, I lost almost 100 pounds and I kept it off for almost a decade. I became symptomatic, I think, when I was in my late 20s of some kind of health issue. I was getting very tired very quickly. I had no energy. I was gaining weight even when I was eating low calorie, low carb, low sugar, all the things that I had done to lose the weight and to keep the weight off. I was continuing trying to exercise, but I eventually was unable to do it. After a couple of years, I was finally diagnosed with the hypothyroid variant of Hashimoto's disease, which is an autoimmune disease where your body attacks your healthy thyroid cells. It sort of sees it as a threat and basically tries to kill it and get rid of it. And your thyroid controls everything else in your body. So your energy, your brain, your blood, your metabolism, everything is very, very much controlled by the thyroid. So it completely changed my life. It brought a stop to everything in my life and me living life the way that I knew it at that point. Like I said, even after I was diagnosed and I was finally given medication, I thought, oh, I'll finally be able to lose weight, lose that. And at that time, it was only like 20 pounds. I was still very much in a normal weight range. I still looked thin. I still looked healthy. But that was when I was still continuing to eat very low calorie, low carb, low sugar, and trying to exercise. And even when I wasn't exercising, I probably still should have been losing weight just based on how I was eating. And that had always worked for me. And again, all of a sudden it stopped working. So at that point, it had only been a little bit of weight gain. But I was just continuing with a lot of the energy issues and things like that. But I was hoping that the medication would help me to, you know, restart, to boost my metabolism and get those last few pounds off. And it did not. It didn't help at all. My doctor at the time, the one who finally found my condition, you know, was scared to over-medicate me. A lot of doctors are afraid to over-medicate because as a hypothyroid patient, if they give you too much medicine, you become hyperthyroid. It can lead to a lot of like heart conditions. It can really damage the organs in your body. So doctors are told to start you off on medication very slowly, and then you just have to get blood work done every 3 months or less to see if the medication's working. But it basically took me years to get to a dosage of medicine that felt like it might be slightly effective. I'm on 150 micrograms right now, and I was started at 25. So I basically started at 25 micrograms of levoxythyrone, I think, and it did absolutely nothing. So I went through a bunch of medicines. I tried Armour Thyroid, which is an NDT, a naturally desiccated thyroid supplement. It's actually derived from a pig's thyroid, but I think the dosage on that I was given was too small. I think that Armour Thyroid probably would work best for me if I would have been given a slightly higher dosage, but I wasn't. Long story short, after everything, I am presently on 150 micrograms of Unithroid. Prior to that, I was taking 150 micrograms of Synthroid, and I switched off of Synthroid because it was expensive and I was losing my health insurance after the Marcal fire, and Unithroid is very inexpensive. So I've only been on Unithroid now for a couple of weeks. I still am symptomatic. I was still symptomatic with the Synthroid. Again, I think that I'm probably going to have to change my medication a few more times until, you know, I can't even say a few more times until I find what works. This, as far as I can tell, is going to be a lifelong struggle, and it's not easy. It's very difficult. Like I said, it completely stopped me in my tracks and like reversed so many things in my life and kind of like forced me to reevaluate my priorities and what was important to me, and it really changed me. It was really humbling almost that it changed me from this person who was so obsessed with their body and trying to make it as small as possible, and just kind of like this very 20s, like vapid, you know, like I was bartending and I was more attractive by general societal standards. I mean, I was alternative. I've always been alternative because I have tattoos and things like that, but it was much easier for me then because that's the way that the world works. And that's not the case anymore. And you know what? It's fine because it really taught me to value things about myself that I never paid attention to or valued before, because I was so focused on my aesthetic and I was so focused on trying to make my outside, you know, hide everything that could be going on inside of me. Whereas now, I'm not worried about doing that anymore. I just don't care anymore. There are bigger things to worry about in life. I think this is a combination of my diagnosis and the frustration of the physical effects that it's had on me, as well as just growing up and getting older, and again, really just figuring out what's important in life. And I want to say that as much as I struggle with my size, and I don't think that, you know, I would choose to be this size. I understand now that it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what my body looks like. Sure, being thinner would make things easier for me. I felt better physically when I was thinner, but I also felt better physically when I wasn't sick. So I don't know that I won't lose 100 pounds and still feel ill all the time. So putting all that aside and you know, not really knowing how my life would change if I were to get thin again, I think I've finally come around to just accepting the fact that this is the body that I have, and my body keeps me alive and it does beautiful, wonderful things. You know, it's taught me to appreciate more things about myself and about my brain and things that I've accomplished, and even just appreciating myself more for getting through it. You know, I remember when I first started gaining weight and I told one of my doctors, like, I don't want to live as a plus size person again, and if I do, I want to kill myself. I literally said to a doctor that I can't imagine living as a plus size person again. And I think some of that statement was an effect of the disease, because, well, I wasn't expecting this. because a lot of my symptoms were mental. It felt like depression a lot, really, really severe depression, but I knew that I wasn't really depressed. That couldn't be what it was. And obviously that's improved significantly. But there was a tremendous amount of time that I spent during that year or so, year and a half, almost 2 years, where I didn't want to live. I felt horrible all the time, and I hated the way that I looked, and I hated the way that I thought people were going to perceive me, and I hated that I had all this brain fog, and I felt like my cognitive abilities were diminishing. It was horrible. It was such a horrible experience. I remember just having like emotional breakdowns, like complete emotional breakdowns for no reason. And now looking back on it, it hurts me to think about how sad I was to be dealing with it. Because now, I don't really have that anymore. I feel like I have a much sunnier disposition about life and where my life is going, and the little things, again, reevaluating what's important and prioritizing and really getting things to be the way that I wanted them to be in my life. So I've definitely grown a lot probably from those experiences, but I remember having that conversation with my doctor, and she basically just said, well, this is what you're going to be dealing with. So like, good luck, you'll be fine. So I stopped seeing her after that appointment, gone through a number of endocrinologists, and I am on the search for another. I am actually planning on seeing a functional medicine doctor, hoping that that might help. But also hoping that my insurance might cover some of the visit because it's very expensive otherwise. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that part of the reason why I created this channel is because I wanted to empower other people while also empowering myself to recognize my strengths and to really strive to focus on the positive and not worry so much about the fact that I'm plus size. And it just sounds so silly because, that's not something that people should have to worry about in their life. I shouldn't have to worry about going out in public because I'm 270 pounds, which is what I weigh, by the way. If you're subscribed to me because you want to see a skinny person, then you're subscribed to the wrong channel. I figured it was important for me to make this video because I need to step out from behind that wall where I'm trying to hide what I look like and trying to change it all the time, because I don't have control over what my body is going to do. I can eat better and I can try to exercise as much as physically possible. I can take diet pills. I can fast. I can stop eating. There's so many things that I can do to try to control my weight, but you know what? There's no guarantee that they're going to work. And trust me, I have done a lot of them, and sometimes they work and a lot of the times they don't. And even when they work, it's really easy for me to gain that weight right back. And again, the physical activity side of it is extremely difficult, and that might sound like a cop-out, but if any of you out there are dealing with metabolic disorders or hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's especially, you know what I'm talking about. So if you don't have to believe me, that's okay. I used to worry a lot about whether or not people thought the things that I was saying were an excuse, and honestly, I can't worry about that anymore. There's nothing I can do. I'm completely transparent, and I plan to continue that way. Anyhow, I'm here to share myself with you and to share my struggles and my victories and just whatever I'm experiencing at the time. It's not enough for me to just come on and do makeup videos. It's not fair. Or movie reviews or something like that for my viewers. I think that for those of you who are interested in me or what I'm doing, you probably want to know more about me. I don't want to just come to you all the time with a smile and only show you the things I'm comfortable showing. I want to challenge myself a little bit by breaking out of this sort of standard that I had set for myself where I hid a lot of the things in my life or the ways that I felt. I don't want to do that anymore. I think that that's not helpful for me, and I'm using this again as an opportunity to grow as a person, and hopefully I'll be able to help other people do that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I know this video was pretty different than anything else that I've done on my channel so far, but again, it's difficult for me sometimes to decide what kind of content I want to put on my channel, and I'm realizing that a lot of that is because I feel a little guarded and I feel a little insecure, and I just feel a little bit afraid or ashamed to share this much of myself with the interwebs, with the world at large. I don't know if it's just today that I've decided this or if it's been brewing for a while, but I'm just like in fuck it mode. Like, I just don't care. This is who I am. And if you like me, you like me. And if you don't, you don't. And I'm going to hold to that. And I mentioned in my review of Shrill, as far as feeling insecure about the way that I look and the size of my body. And if you're beautiful on the inside, you're beautiful on the outside. And for the people who don't see it, they just don't know what it looks like. And that says more about them than it says about you. Trying to keep all those things in mind, I want to live these quotes. Yeah, it's time. We'll see how it goes over. Anyways, I will talk to you guys again soon. If you like me, feel free to give a thumbs up below. Feel free to share the page, tell your friends. And if you haven't subscribed before, hit that subscribe button. No pressure. And I will see you guys next time.